So now you have gone through the wheel and have said to yourself something about how you fit in terms of a niche in society. I'd like to take a moment with you to reflect on what you've just said about yourself. I went through my list and you've gone through your lists. The question is, how much does this actually say about who you are? What does it say about your interests, your dreams, your fears, your emotional life, your inner imagination about who you are? I know for myself, my own list doesn't say a whole lot about those things. It's mostly like an external resume or labels, even stereotypes. And this is important to understand, that these categories do not capture really who we are or what we care about, what we dream about. These are categories given to us by society. These are stereotypes. These are labels. And this is how it feels to look at a kind of demographic description of who you are and see the contrast between that and your humanity. It's a very important moment in terms of connecting with our own basic goodness, that these labels that are given to us by the world do not define for us our humanity. They do not say much about us as human beings, and they say very little about us in terms of basic goodness. These are labels that are given by society. They are habitual labels that have been given over time. The next thing I'd like to look at is, what aspects of the wheel do we have ability to change or to shape? What aspects of the wheel have we affected through the decisions we've made in our lives? And what aspects of the wheel were given to us at our birth? So take a moment to look at that. When I look at the wheel, I see that when it comes to marital status, work background, education, parental status, geographic location, these are things, and religious beliefs for that matter, these are things that I've had some choice about. These are things that are a reflection of what I've actually done in my life, how I've spent my time, what I have chosen to do in terms of direction and path. But if we look at the inside wheel, at the areas of gender, ethnicity, race, age, sexual orientation, and physical ability, these are things that I have no choice over. Of course, these days there's sex change surgery. That's possible and that is happening, but that's a huge deal. For the most part, the things in the inner wheel are things that I have not had any particular power to change. These are things that I have inherited at the moment of my birth, and these are things that I have carried through in my life. So this is a very, very important realization in terms also of our fundamental basic goodness, our fundamental humanity. Our humanity is there in all of these things, even those areas where we have not had power or agency. Next question I would like to ask about the wheel is, again, looking at the whole wheel, what aspects of the wheel are used to reward or punish us? That is, to elevate status, and what aspects of the wheel decrease our status in the world? What aspects of the wheel give us credit or discredit us in some way? Elevate us or oppress us? Or leave us alone or harass us? It's very important to understand that the way society has defined us in this inner wheel often sets us up for reward or punishment, often in ways that we are unaware of. And in order to really understand this, one of the trainers, Alan Johnson, who teaches beautifully about all of this, when he came to Naropa and did a training, he said, imagine that you wake up in the morning and suddenly you are a different race. Or suddenly you are a different sexual orientation. You wake up in the morning, everything else about you is the same, but suddenly you have a different sexual orientation or a different race. And you get up and you dress and you go to work. You go down to breakfast with the people you live with. You go into your life, and this is known about you. If it's sexual orientation, you have come out, and it is known what your sexual orientation is. Imagine what things will be different in your life as a result of this. Of course, your dreams and your visions, your interests, your emotional life will probably be the same, but the way you are seen by others will suddenly be different. How does that feel? Take a moment, close your eyes, and visualize this. How will your life be different with this sudden change you've discovered waking up in the morning? These are the things that give us some flavor about how it is that the way that society pigeonholes people and stereotypes them, targets them, objectifies them, changes life very, very strongly, enormously. The main point that I'm trying to make here is that societies have classified us and have rewarded us or punished us based on those classifications, whether or not we are in a group that is considered privileged or whether we're in a group that is necessary to oppress for whatever reason. There's lots of detail about why privilege and oppression have developed in our society. I'm not going to go into that today, though it's a fascinating thing, tied very much to greed especially, and to capitalism, colonialism, etc. It's quite an incredible study, and it's one of the things that I've been very drawn to in the study of privilege. The main point, though, is that our rewards and our punishments are socially constructed by societies that have lost track of basic goodness and have instead pursued short-term gain, short-term benefit, wealth, power, at the expense of others who are oppressed, who are used in order to enhance the welfare of the few. It's a pattern that has developed rather recently, in the last 300 years. It is a pattern that has now become so assumed we don't even realize how recent it is. And so even the construction of whiteness as a race has been used as a way to promote wealth and power of the few. From a Shambhala point of view, we understand that these labels, these categories that are used, are fundamentally ways that we cocoon ourselves. We've created society cocoons as a way to not look directly at the ways in which human beings have exploited each other. And these cocoons are causing enormous suffering. These cocoons have removed us from our ability to really be warriors. In my last talk, I used a quote from the Vidyadhara where he says that warriors renounce anything that would be a barrier to creating enlightened society. And it's very important that we, in our path of warriorship and creating enlightened society, are willing to look at the patterns of classifications, objectifications, stereotypes that we have perpetuated with each other that create barriers to our creating enlightened society. All of these various ways that we have classified each other and either credited, elevated some and lowered others is tied to what is called privilege.